Joining me now is Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, who has said he's a no vote on the Graham-Cassidy bill. Senator Paul, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I want to start with the president didn't just single out John McCain. He singled you out, too, at the Alabama rally, but in more hopeful tones. Let me play it and get you to respond.
Rand Paul was on that list. They say, don't even waste your time calling him. He voted twice, yes, okay? He was very good. And I haven't given up on him because I think he may come around, okay?
All right, Senator, in the president's words, are you going to come around?
Well, I've always been a yes for repeal, but the bill, unfortunately, the Graham-Cassidy bill, basically keeps most of the Obamacare spending, almost all of the spending, and just reshuffles it and block grants it to the states. So I don't think block granting Obamacare doesn't make it go away. It just means you're keeping all the money we've been spending through Obamacare, most of it, reshuffling it, taking the money from Democrat states and giving it to Republican states. I think what it sets up is a perpetual food fight over the formula. What happens when the Democrats win? They're going to try to claw back that money from Republican states and give it to Democrat states. This is a bad idea. It's not repeal. However, all that being said, if they narrow the focus to the things we all agree on, expanding health savings accounts, giving governors more freedom through waivers, slowing down the rate of growth of an outrageous or out of control entitlement spending, sure, I'd be for that. But I'm just not for this block granting concept because to me that is an affirmative vote that I've agreed to keep Obamacare.
Well, I would say this. If you cannot accept the block grant concept, then there is no way you'll ever support this bill. Is that fair to say? Because that's the centerpiece of this bill.
Well, they could remove the block grants from it, and then we could vote on what we actually all agree on.
Wasn't that skinny repeal?
Well, I think there's a little more actually in this bill than skinny repeal if you remove the block grants. But the problem I have as a conservative, look, I started my political career campaigning against Obamacare. I went to rally after rally saying we would repeal it. I can't in good conscience vote to keep it. All of the spending and say, oh, now it's, because once we do, the Republican name will be on health care, and this isn't going to work. So we're going to end up having Republicans absorb the blame for a terrible health care system.
So if block grant is in there, you're a no. There's no room for you to move.
I would vote to block grant at pre-Obama levels. If you want to look at 2009 and you say, do you want to block grant Medicaid? I would have been a yes. But after you doubled the spending on all of these entitlement programs, we have a $700 billion deficit this year and a $20 trillion debt. We can't just keep piling on new money. There has to be a few conservatives left in Washington who will say, we really were for repeal and still are for repealing Obamacare.
Let me ask you a question and you've probably heard the speculation in sort of back channels, but the National Review put it this way about you. There has been widespread speculation that Paul is playing a game on Obamacare, that he does not really wish to see major changes to it, and will find libertarian-sounding objections to any Republican bill that has a chance of passage. The implication being, Senator, that you don't really want to change the Kentucky system. There's a lot of people in Kentucky that like the system, but you can't get caught ever saying that.
Well, I think what that is a personal insult to my character, and coming from the pro-war National Review, I don't doubt that they would say that. This is a bunch of neocons who don't like libertarians, frankly, and so yes, they don't like me, and so they personally insult me and say, oh, this is all a charade. But I think most people who follow my position would find that, as a physician, there's not been a more consistent voice for repealing Obamacare. I've put forward replacement ideas. Right now, I'm still working with the president on letting people buy across state lines in groups, healthcare associations, and the president's assured me that's coming. By executive action within the next couple of weeks, he believes he can do this. The Secretary of Labor believes he can do this. I think we have some good news that'll get millions of people access to inexpensive insurance. So, no, I keep working on all fronts for free market solutions, but I'm just not for block granting Obamacare and calling it a day and say, oh, well, we're keeping it, but we're just going to divvy it up.
I got to ask you your reaction. There's been a lot of back and forth between the president and the leadership in North Korea. The rhetoric has been, shall we say, not high. It's been a little low. You've had the president tweeting, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, who is obviously a madman who doesn't mind starving or killing his people, will be tested like never before. Just heard Foreign Minister of North Korea speak at UN. If he echoes thoughts of Little Rocket Man, they won't be around much longer. But then you had the leader of North Korea calling the president also some pejorative in his language. Are you concerned that we're going down a road we can't sort of pull back from?
Yeah, I think there is a problem, and if I were going to be sending messages to North Korea, I would say this: we don't plan on invading, we don't plan on regime change, we don't plan on occupying North Korea, and we don't plan on being the one to have an offensive military strike for any reason other than the defense of South Korea ourselves. I would also say there is no good military option for us, but also for them, and they need to realize that in no uncertain terms, that there is no option for them to use military weapons, because the results would be catastrophic for them, but also the results would be catastrophic for everybody on the Korean Peninsula. So I hope we can ratchet down the rhetoric, but I'm also still a believer that China can be coaxed into this. And the one thing that I've offered that no one else has is I would actually say to North Korea, if you'll dismantle your nuclear weapons, I would invite China to be part of an international force on the DMZ to help keep peace within there. And I think that would reassure the North Koreans that we won't come in. But I will tell you that the whole problem here started with Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama bombing Libya after they gave up their nuclear weapons. That sent a terrible message to North Korea that we weren't to be trusted.
And finally, you brought up your libertarian ideology. I'm curious, what do you make of what many NFL players have been doing in their protests and the president's criticism of them? Appropriate?
Well, you know, I've been outspoken in saying that there is racial injustice that comes from our war on drugs. There's a disproportionate impact on minorities in our country. We should speak out about that, and we should do something about that. I've been outspoken and unhappy that we fight undeclared wars in foreign lands. All that being said, though, if you ask me, am I proud of my country? Yes. Am I hopeful for my country? Yes. Do I think America's a better place to live than any place in the world? I guess my reaction would be, I don't hesitate to criticize policy when I think it needs it, but I stand and say the pledge, and I think people should, and that would be my advice. If anyone asked me or if a kid asked me, I think you should stand, still complain, have your focus, but I just think really that this is the greatest country on the planet, probably in recorded history, and we need to be proud of our country and at the same time try to make it a better place.
So you think the president was appropriate in criticizing NFL owners for not cutting these players that do this?
Well, you know, I think that people have the right to protest, and I think that I understand their protest and actually join some of the things they're unhappy with. I personally stand and say the pledge, and I think that's the better way to do it, and take your complaint in a different venue.
I understand that, but you didn't address my question about the president.
Well, I probably, if I were president, probably would not get involved in this. Okay. And the thing is I do think, though, that the NFL makes money off of its fans. And the one thing you could hear from Trump saying that to that crowd is tens of thousands of people. And I think a lot of people across the country don't understand sort of disrespecting the flag or disrespecting the country. Look, see, I can stand up in my state and have real serious complaints about fighting an unconstitutional war in a foreign land, but at the same time show that I'm very hopeful and patriotic. And I think you can do both at the same time. Senator Paul, I will leave it there. Thanks for coming on and sharing your views, sir. I appreciate it. Earlier this morning,